You said you're going to be better. Prove it to the Chicagoans
10 seconds
by meeting
remain.
with them and being honest with them and treating fairly with them.
I can't wait to hear
10
about
seconds
your
remaining.
plan to give control over to the communities that these schools serve.
My child just got bus services cut. I own my house. My property taxes went up. So that means my mortgage went up also. I can't pull out my garage. My streets are raggedy. I can't get my child to school unless I walk 15 minutes right now. 15 minutes to her new bus stop.
Let's just say rage is bipartisan. The popularity behind the populist appeal of when Donald Trump cuts across all parties, the Democratic Party included, and doesn't Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, know it? The last couple of nights, and this one continuing tonight, he's trying to get a sort of a feeling of how his constituents stand about, are feeling about some budget cuts and the like, and obviously not too well. In fact, he had to be escorted out of one night session. Steve Moore says it's a sign of the times. People are angry. But Steve, this is palpable anger, and I'm glad you brought your Chicago credentials with us to prove.
You know, I'm a Chicagoan, Neil. Look, this may surprise you, Neil, but I'm on the side of these protesters and these demonstrators. I mean, what is happening in Chicago is scandalous, where major city services are being cut. Ambulance service, fire service, money for the schools are being cut. The basic kind of services that Chicagoans depend on. And the reason the people are angry is not because, you know, it's not a plea for higher taxes. I mean, my goodness, Chicago has a 9 or 10% sales tax. They have some of the highest property taxes. Neil, what's going on here is that about 1 out of every $3 in the Chicago budget and also in the Illinois state budget. Hold on to your hat here, Neil. 1 out of every $3 is for pensions. It's for teachers who retired long ago. They're not for the
we
services
mentioned
that people
that
want.
pledges. Rahm Emanuel had pledged to address that, to address this excess, and he's not delivered on it. And now he has to cut in other areas, and that's what's got these people's you-know-what and what, right?
Yeah, and here's the point. People in other cities and other states are watching, they're saying, well, why should I care about what's happening in Chicago? And the answer is this is going to happen, I predict, in 50 to 100 cities in the next 5 or 10 years because these pensions are completely out of control. No politician, Republican or Democrat, wants to deal with these massive costs. I mean, look, when 1 out of every 3 tax dollars is going to people who are retired, that means you're paying taxes for not getting the kind of services that you want.
What happens as well is that people then have to say, how much can you push on the string of hiking taxes on the wealthy? They've tried that, obviously, in Illinois. They tried it in Chicago, and all, and there's a limited oomph you can get from that, right?
That's exactly right. Now, Illinois had 2 massive tax increases under the previous administration. Bruce Rauner, a Republican, is now the governor in a pretty Democratic state. By the way, the other thing that's going on in Illinois right now, Neil, as you know, is that there's a standoff on the state budget. So there's kind of paralysis in this great state of Illinois. Chicago, the only thing that's going right in Chicago right now is the Cubs.
Well... Not really, but I mean, okay, I know you're right. But thank you, Steve, it's very well said, and it's the reality that's hitting us hard. All right, thank you very much. This is the first time in 50 years I felt proud to wear this hat. All right, well, that's good. I wish I could wear a hat. I'd love to wear a hat because I'd have to sew 2 together. It would be ugly, and maybe you volunteered to do that, but then it couldn't be done. You need a third just to finish the
As long as it's not a Yankees hat, I'm fine with it.
Okay, then just scratch the Yankees hat. That's one thing. All right, thank you very much, my friend. All right, I want you to look at this billboard. You know where it is? This billboard that talks about what? I get $30,000 a year, no experience or skills. This ad that protests a $15 minimum wage. You know where it is? It is in, wait a minute, New York City. Do you know where in New York City? The Crossroads of America, Times Square. The guy behind it, Michael Saltzman, Employment Policies Institute. Michael, your point was and is what?
So the point is that when you go to a $15 minimum wage, that this isn't your dad's minimum wage fight anymore. At a minimum wage that high, you're actually at a level that a lot of assistant managers are earning at many of these fast food restaurants. And so when you say to them, hey, if you're a new person on the job with 0 days of experience, we're going to pay you the same thing that your manager pays, that it devalues the hard work that goes into working your way up to those higher level jobs.
All right, but one of the things I liked about the logic in your argument is that, and I think people forget about this, that if you're going to increase the minimum wage and those guys who are their bosses who are being paid $16 an hour, or maybe not even 15, start scratching there and say, wait a minute, what about me, right?
Yeah, so that's exactly right. And, I think we were actually out in Times Square talking to people earlier this week, asking them what they thought about it. And, one of the gentlemen we talked to pointed out, they said, hey, it's really hard being an assistant manager at a fast food restaurant. You got to put in more time. You got to manage everybody. So they're looking at it and they're saying, wait, I can be the new guy on the job, not have to do nearly as much and get paid the same wage. How is that fair?
I think you hit home with the notion of $30,000, no experience, nothing, and I'm earning that kind of money. Now, there are a lot of people in some expensive areas, I would imagine, even in Manhattan, where you raise that argument and say, well, $30,000 is nothing. Have you encountered people who just say, you're sending the wrong message in one of the most expensive locales around?
Well, we always have critics of billboards like this. Predictably, a lot of them come from the country's labor unions that are pushing these policies. But I actually think $30,000 a year, regardless of what market you're in, if you're thinking about, if you're a 17-year-old, who hasn't worked a day before, maybe you don't have a high school diploma yet, $30,000 a year seems like the kind of salary that you might earn coming out of college. It doesn't seem like the kind of salary you earn coming right out of high school. And so I actually think it puts 15 in a context that most people say, hey, I didn't think of it that way before.
Well put. It's certainly provocative. It gets people talking. Of course, it's right across from the Victoria's Secret ad. But you're battling that, but you seem to be doing well with it.
Well, I think our guy with the sunglasses totally battles those models and then some. So.
Yeah, he's actually looking at them with his sunglasses, which I think was shrewd on your part. Michael Sosa, thank you very, very much. Good having you.
Hey, good to be here.
All right, well, Donald Trump in that sort of rapid-fire press conference today making this pledge, he said, contrary to all these critics who bash me, when it comes to Hispanics, they're supporting him overwhelmingly. Is he right? After this.